Graham Greene said there's a moment in childhood when the door opens and lets the future in. A befitting quote for an album that deals with the essence of childhood and the adult self. But is it any good? Let's find out, shall we? Welcome classic rock fans to an episode of New Album Review, where today we're looking at Innocence Illusion, the wonderful album by Amanda Lehmann. This album is about journeying from songs of innocence to experience, fluctuating between that wonderful world of childlike whimsy to the sobering reality of the world around us, where a cloud is just a cloud, in the magic of a moment, a sleight of hand. Lewis Carroll famously said, "I would give all the wealth the years have piled to be once more a little child." This album provides an intriguing dialogue between one's formative years and one's adult self, which very much contributes to the palpable ache at the centre of this record, all wrapped up in these gorgeous dreamscapes and carousels of sound that celebrate the idiom of childhood, one that's been explored in literature and nursery rhymes for centuries, as well as exploring the psychological burden of being an adult. It's like flip-flopping between Hilaire Belloc and Somerset Maugham. This album, described as a loose concept album by Amanda Lehmann, is beautifully textured. You hear all sorts of things going on around you, like chimes and trinkets and musical boxes. It says in the Book of Corinthians, "When I become an adult, I put away childish things." And Amanda Lehmann explores such things and even suggests that the child is still very much in the driving seat. The pathology of that is interesting in itself. I mean, yes, trauma does leave us scarred or leaves us trapped, but to occupy the imaginative and explorative world of your younger self can be seen as a gift. The romantics certainly thought so, with the image of the child being an expression of unfettered and natural genius, something to be treasured before a cloud becomes just a cloud. The musical textures on this album are lavish, romantic, and gorgeously proggy, I have to say. The vocal, her haunting multi-layered vocals weave throughout this album. She's obviously a fan of Kate Bush, I think. They range from a warm, bluesy tone to a harder, rockier feel to the angelic intonation of choirs. And at times it becomes very dreamlike. You can just immerse yourself in it. I mean, there's so much work gone into the arrangements on this record. And the guitar work is beautiful and intuitive. Lots of thematic lead lines and some delicately picked arpeggios. No need for any showboating. It all beautifully complements the songs and what the song needs. To quote the blog regarding this album features 9 songs that sees a fusion of prog rock, ballads and elements of jazz blues. Innocence and Illusion takes us on a journey through magical childhood worlds and hard-edged realities, emotionally touching us at every turn. And the artwork is very emblematic of this as well. It's very Roger Dean, although the artwork was created by Des Walsh. Nevertheless, this album becomes part of that canon of what I call lockdown albums, where lots of these wonderful artists found themselves with far too much time on their over-sanitised hands and put that time to bloody good use. And I have to say that this debut album is stunning. Steve Hackett has said, "I believe she's a new British talent with a range of expression rarely heard on a debut album. There's an actor's approach to character exploration from child to woman and back again, where Amanda is the ringmaster of her own fantasies with much to say about the human condition." Amen to that. If we think about the songs on this record, I mean, the first one is Who Are the Heroes? Has a very dreamlike quality. The opening line, "Dreamers dream while angels fall," very much belies that juxtaposition between childlike idealism and disillusionment, in my opinion. Lovely atmospheric guitar, gorgeous double-track vocals, and it has an ethereal quality as well, which is occasionally punctuated by some rather dark, ominous tones. Wonderful instrumental jousting between the guitars and keyboards, with the central idea, I think, being around the idea that heroes are all around in the everyday. Tinkerbell is my favourite on this album, with the allusion, of course, to Peter Pan. Second star on the left, straight onto Morning. Or is it second star on the right? Wouldn't want to get lost, would we? I mean, Tinkerbell is a puckish figure, mischievous, yet there is something ultimately quite tragic and sad about her, trapped behind that glass, as Amanda Lehmann says. And I love that opening line, "Hello, sinister moon." It's such a potent beginning to a song, and such a potent symbol as well. I mean, the moon, of course, is childhood literature and nursery rhymes are imbued with this as a symbol as well as many, many cultures, see the power of this, from the man in the moon, the cow that jumps over it, the dark side of the moon. Even Paul Simon recognised this in that wonderful song from his Hearts and Bones album, where he says, if you want to write a song about the heart, think about the moon before you start. In this song there's a wonderful waltz-like section where one can hear the mischievous intonations of Tchaikovsky's Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Glorious, glorious stuff. I mean, I love the lyric where make-believe meets reality, which is often what's going on this record. Only Happy When It Rains has a very breezy, jazzy feel to it. It's a delight to listen to, but it has something quite dark as its message. It focuses on this need for succour in some of the more greyer elements of our lives. But it's imbued with musically it's imbued with a real sense of joie de vivre, I think, which makes for an ironic juxtaposition between the music and the subject matter. I must admit I was intrigued. The Watcher is starts with these chimes, like a musical box, so that's how it sounds to me anyway, or a clock perhaps. Before that lovely bluesy refrain of the guitar changes the feel of the number completely, in my opinion. The hushed and breathy vocals are used to full effect, inducing an almost mysterious feel to it. This song for some reason reminds me of a song on the Marillion album Brave. I don't know which number it is, and I must admit I don't know who the Watcher is either, whether it's some omnipotent presence or the man in the moon. I should have asked Amanda Lehmann that when I had the opportunity to interview her. Memory Lane is an interesting one. It feels very much like looking back. I tend to call it Amnesia Lane these days. There's a beautiful line in this song, dancing to a waltz that has no refrain. And there seems to be explores a real danger of missing out on the moment by being too obsessed with what has been. I wonder if that's the message that lies at the very heart of this song, maybe in part the very heart of this album. Those that dwell too much in the past certainly indicates to me that they're somewhat not satisfied with the present. And Forever Days is quite an optimistic title. When one thinks of Forever Days, we think of days, lives devoid of any nighttime or darkness. But it actually reminds me more of those childhood summers I used to enjoy that seemed to stretch on forever. What happened to those? What happened to summers? We Are One is a song that was written early and included on this album that has at its core elephants as a motif. The same elephants appear on the album cover as well, which was pointed out to me. The idea of family unit or social unity, perhaps, not political collectivism at all. It's some lovely soaring guitar trills here. It's a really, really a lovely piece. But for me, I don't know why it just feels a little bit out of place. Although this is not a concept album, it does evoke a specific atmosphere, very much like Pet Sounds does. And very much like Pet Sounds, this song would be this album's Sloop John B, in my opinion. Then we get on to Childhood Delusions. This is really the song where make-believe meets reality. I read somewhere that a child ceases to be able to paint once he is told he cannot paint. And the tragedy and inherent sadness of that sentiment is explored in this song. I do love the line that almost seems to contradict the very sober and sombering heart of the song, which is, and the man in the moon still follows me home. A restraining order is called for here, I think, but I also feel like saying hurrah for that. Wonderful. It's a beautiful number, of course, that references, over somewhere over the rainbow and when you wish upon a star. It has for me a glimmer of light in the gloom. Overall quite a jazzy number with a beautiful sax solo. The solo feels like an example of a musical, metaphorical representation, something that Brian Wilson was a big fan of. It represents that mournful cry of disillusionment. Then we get to the last number where the small things go. It has a bright and playful quality that lifts my spirits. My words certainly need lifting at the moment. But those small things, those lovely little things of the child's imagination, those things that the Book of Corinthians says we must shuffle away somewhere, as this lullaby of number just cradles us and rocks us and assures us that perhaps all is right with the world after all. This is all wonderfully complemented, of course, by the gorgeous and sublime guitar pickings of Mr. Steve Hackett. there you go, that's my opinion of Amanda Lehmann's new album, Innocence and Illusion. I've got that right. And the artwork is fabulous. Des Walsh is to thank for that. It opens up beautifully. Lovely picture of the moon with a quote, the man in the moon. Innocence and Illusions, childhood delusions, the man in the moon still follows me home. Isn't that great? And the back as well, isn't that just dark and mysterious? Just absolutely all-round fabulous. There you go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't switched off by now, I will urge you to please click like and subscribe and check that bell. Click the all option so you get notified of any future uploads, and do check some of the links below this video for ways you can support the work done here at Classic Album Review. Anyway, it just leaves me to say I hope you're all well and staying safe and keeping warm, but more importantly that you keep listening.